So her secretary was there, but she wasn't. Super nice lady. She's had the same secretary the entire time that I've been with her. Sean knows her. She's a lovely person. She's a grandma. But she, like pretty much everybody else, did not recognize me when I got there. So I had asked if my doctor was available, and she said no and asked who I was. Perfectly reasonable. So I told her my name, and she, recognized the name and pulled up. Off she goes, and she says, yeah, but I see here that she only did, the one procedure, which was a big, like, colonoscopy type thing. It was a lot of fun. I don't remember most of that one, which is awesome. So, and I said, I know, but she was in charge of my care. I lived here for several months in 2016, and she's like, oh my God, you're the one who had the baby. Not the first time I've heard those exact words. I'm often described that way when I get there. Super often. That wasn't the first time that day I had been described that way. And everybody always asks how he's doing and how his brothers are doing and how their dad is doing. So I said, yes, I was that person. I remember you. Ba-da-da-da-da. Catch up. And then she looks at me and she says, words to the effect of, so you had a 5-month-old baby who didn't know who you were. This is one of those if I had a nickel situations. If I had a nickel for every time a woman over the age of 50 has said that to me, which my mother-in-law was a little bit taken aback by that and by the ensuing exchange, because she wasn't familiar with me going through that part of it. She hadn't seen somebody do that to me before. But it's happened a lot, often enough that I was able to just sort of water off a duck's back at this point, oh yeah, no, he didn't. But I've realized too, because initially I had the instinct is to just stand there with my worst what the fuck face on, and I'm not really that nice of a person. So there's a huge part of me when somebody says something that fucking stupid to me, where I just want to look at them and, did you seriously just say that? You are, and especially in when it's a medical professional, and you'd be surprised the number of medical professionals who have done this. And I just or somebody who is, because it's not always women, and it's not always women over 50. It is usually, but not always. But it's somebody coming at me from a parent or a grandparent perspective, and I have just, it's so shocking to people, I think, that happened. That they're trying to process it while they're looking at me, and all they can think about is how horrible it must be. So it's almost like they're projecting that onto it without realizing, wow, I really shouldn't, that this is so insensitive. They're just, wow, seriously. If they weren't, grandmothers, it would be like that actually, you, holy shit. How do you cope with that? Because I've had younger people react that way. So I don't know, maybe it's I don't know. I don't know. I prefer the second reaction, I think. The kind of just overwhelmed and stunned disbelief is a little bit easier than the people who seem to want to know how I coped with it. You know, like, what was the hardest part? You just sort of are like, I don't know how to answer that at all, really, because I don't. It's not people's fault, and I get that. I really do, because I have been the insensitive idiot so many times, saying things that I shouldn't say and not realizing until later that I'm a total moron. Like, everybody does it, and it's just... Here's the thing. It's not about... Because I'm realizing that I probably sound like I'm nice. This isn't about you. If you're one of those people who has done this to somebody, or somebody who feels like maybe you've done this to me, it has nothing to do with you. It's about how I feel. So yeah, I could totally be a giant bitch and without anybody questioning my justification, I could give people that face, and I could question what, or just stop the conversation even and say, how can you ask me that? Like, I don't even think I would have to be rude about it. I think even just gently, or even overreacting to what they ask, or being too honest, and saying aggressively or not, what was it like to be separated from my newborn son for the first 5 months of his life? Oh, I don't know. It was super fucking easy. Like, it was great, right? I got to skip all the hard stuff. That is not kind. I should not say something like that. But even if I say something, the sarcasm can't work. But even if I say something that I'm avoiding saying because I don't generally talk about this, and this is not why I turned on the camera today, if I answer their questions about that time honestly, a lot of times people cry or have cried. And then I know I've made them feel bad. But here's the part about me maybe not being a super nice person. Because if I was nice, I would feel bad about the fact that you feel bad because I was sarcastic, or I was too honest, or I was too blunt, or because my filter is really skewed, and I know the people close to me would probably say that my filter was not that great before, and it's really bad. It's really bad now. But it's not about making the other person feel like, I'm sorry if I've made you feel bad. I genuinely, I really am. I don't want to make anybody feel bad. But not because you feel bad. I don't want to make you feel bad because it makes me feel bad about myself. Because I walk away from the situation and maybe I feel okay for I don't know. I might feel good about it. Like, depending on who the person is. Like, if you're some random at the grocery store who's like, I could feel good about chewing you out for at least an hour. At least, maybe even longer. Like, I don't know. It would depend on the situation and what you fucking said. But eventually, that's going to wear off. And I'm going to feel really bad, because if I'm the type of person who attacks somebody who is making a comment or asking a question or overwhelmed with what happened to me, if I attack them for that, like, what does that say about me? It kind of, like, okay, I was defending myself, or okay, I have a right to be disrespectful when people are rude, or be rude back when people are rude. But what does that say about me? Like, that I don't think that's who I want to be. So I try and react kindly, and I say the absolute minimum. So, like, with my doctor's secretary, I just was like, yeah, it was really hard, but we're doing so great now. He's such an awesome little guy. And that it's not up to me to help them through their emotions about what I went through. Like, that's not my job. I just have to walk away from the encounter not feeling like a burning bag of shit about myself. And I've learned the hard way, and from a lot of experience, that the only way I don't feel like a bag of shit is if I try and react with kindness. And even when I try, I still fail. I fail at the grocery store. I fail with my friends sometimes. I fail with my family. I fail all the time. But I just want to keep trying. And I guess ultimately that's kind of why I'm here. It's because I just want to keep trying. And I don't know, I don't want to come off as being superior, because I don't feel superior. I just feel like a person who went through something that nobody should have to. And it's not even that I feel like I've learned something necessarily. It's just that, well, yeah, I have, but it's not about the learning so much as it is about the ways I'm finding to react to situations now that that's happened. And I feel like if I'm able to take a step back from, or to take myself out of my own shoes and try to put them into the lady at the grocery store's shoes, which is just such a basic thing that they always say, right? But I have found, at least, it can be really hard to put into practice, and it can be really hard to remember in the moment when it feels like somebody's attacking you, and it feels like somebody is judging you or your situation, or your choices, or making a series of assumptions. It can be really hard to stop yourself and go, well, okay, I'm really only pissed off because they don't have the whole story, which is why they're saying that. Or, there's gotta be some way. I have to find some way to let the lady at the grocery store off the hook, so that I'm okay with not being a bitch, because I really want to be. So in my own mind, I have to come up with a reason not to, even if I know that's somebody I'm probably never going to see again for the rest of my life. I still have to, and I will, and that must be my own defect, and I've always been that way, but I will remember. And I think that those little instances of being nasty, or of discouraging people, or snapping, or being rude, they build up, like layers of tartar or something around our spirits, and you start to become that. You just, you drown under all of those layers, like you're just, being dipped in some vat of chocolate nastiness, and every time you dip back in, it just gets bigger and harder, and, so you gotta watch how you dip your egg. Like, I'm a lunatic.